Hey guys, welcome to Goodwill Dynamics. This is, of course, a little show about Goodwill, and we're interested in two primary things. We want to define Goodwill, figure out what it really means and in our actual day-to-day existence, and we want to figure out how to perpetuate Goodwill in a complex contemporary world. And to that end, we've got another Reddit story for you guys. We've got a Reddit post that we're going to read and analyze a little bit. And as always, our friend Adam is going to take it away and read that off for you guys.
All right. Thank you, Nick. My 28 female girlfriend, my 28 female and my girlfriend, 30 female, is a huge people pleaser, and it's ruining our relationship. Hi, my girlfriend and I are in a serious relationship and live together. She is a huge people pleaser. At first, I loved her selflessness, but then as the rose-colored glasses came off, I realized that this is actually a fault of hers. Here are a few examples. First, for a whole year, our relationship, my girlfriend stayed up every single night at 12 a.m. to pick her friend up from work because she didn't have a car. This friend rarely contributed gas money as well. Keep in mind that my girlfriend gets up for work at 6 a.m. and has poor health. So this was very disruptive for her. Our relationship suffered because this favor made my girlfriend much more sleepy and irritable and changed her entire sleep schedule, which made us have less time together. She doesn't do it anymore because she works walking distance from her home, but it's an example. Another time, in the middle of us being intimate, she finished and was about to take care of me after. She checked her phone and asked if it was appropriate to drop off snacks to a friend's house before we continued because her friend didn't feel like leaving the house. This is just the beginning, and I could literally list a million situations where I have felt like I wasn't anywhere on the list of priorities, but for clarity's sake, I will leave it at that. I have friends too, and I would do almost anything for them, but nothing that would disrupt my entire life and relationship. I don't think I am a difficult person to please, but this keeps happening. I'm apparently not the first girlfriend to have a problem with this, and even her mom has pointed out that she's perhaps being a bit too giving. Her friends are even quite toxic. A few of them are close with my girlfriend's abusive ex. I can tell that they are using my girlfriend because she is one of the only people in her friend group that owns a vehicle. They practically treat my girlfriend as a taxi service and only want to spend time with her when it involves some type of favor. And it's never, hey, come over to my house. It's, hey, can you take me to the store? Oh, cool. You need something from there? Let's run errands together all day in your car. If her friends want to do something, they invite me and my girlfriend complain about having no money, and my girlfriend picks up the tab. Keep in mind, we are both broke as hell too. Also, keep in mind that these girls are in their 30s or late 20s. No offense, but they should be a lot further in life than they are right now. I don't want to be the partner who hates their girlfriend's friends, but some of these women are painfully obvious users. My girlfriend very much so lets them walk all over her. It's painful to watch, and every time I've ever so gently tried to bring it up, it ends in a huge fight caused by defensiveness. She constantly says, I just want everyone to be happy, but fails to realize that this philosophy is actually driving a huge wedge between us. Sometimes I feel like leaving. Oftentimes I feel like I'm the other woman and my girlfriend and I are all her friends are in some kind of ducked up, unhealthy polyam relationship. I stay because I love her, and every once in a while, she gives me 100% or a healthy amount of her attention, and it is wonderful. She can be an incredibly caring partner, but I see less and less of this now, and it's only becoming on my birthdays or anniversaries. Too long didn't read. My girlfriend's friend group is toxic. They constantly use her for things like her car, money. My girlfriend is hell-bent on making everyone happy, but it is impacting our relationship.
Okay, well, that was quite a tale, and we're going to get into the meat of it first. Do some introductions here. My name's Nick. This, of course, is Goodwill Dynamics, and I'm joined by our illustrious cast. First of all, that voice that you just heard was Adam. Say hi to everyone, Adam.
Hey there.
And we've got Joshua here as well.
Hey folks, good to be back.
And of course, all the way from Denmark is our good friend Annie. Say hello, Annie.
Hi.
So, man, what do you guys think of this one? This is, there's a lot going on here, a lot to parse. What are people's thoughts?
Well, it's clearly an unhealthy relationship, but I don't think the poster realizes that she's in some ways doing the same thing that her partner is doing. I mean, obviously not to the extent, but her partner is enabling toxic people to not treat her well. And the poster is allowing basically this relationship to continue on where her partner gives all her, good stuff away and then doesn't have any for her. So it's actually kind of a similar thing.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point.
I think she also needs to, the writer here, she needs to look at her own feelings and tell them to her girlfriend. I mean, she says she's tried to talk about the situation and telling her that she should stop doing what she's doing. But maybe, and we don't know that, but maybe she hasn't told her how it makes her feel. And does she even know how it makes her feel? She's sad, she's unhappy. Why? Is she afraid of losing her girlfriend? Or is she sad because she's not getting attention enough? I mean, she could try and talk about those things with her and tell her that she's miserable because she's missing her. Don't attack her by saying what she should do or shouldn't do. Just tell her how she feels herself about it. And if the girlfriend really loves her and it's a good relationship and they can continue, they should try to find a compromise. I mean, relationships are about compromises, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point, Annie. That the approach should be one where she's communicating those feelings to begin with. Usually in a situation like this, it does call for some boundaries, and I think those need to be eventually discussed. But I think your approach is correct. To first, she needs to express that emotion so that the partner understands where she's coming from, and then you can discuss what boundaries are needed going forward if there's going to be a healthy relationship going forward.
Yeah, using I statements, I think, would be helpful, because clearly just laying out that, like, you're being used and, giving too much and so forth. She says it makes her partner defensive. And so it's like, well, that's not working and she's not listening. And maybe she has, talked about how she feels about it, perhaps, but she didn't explicitly say that. So if she does make it about her and how she feels, then it sets up this dynamic of like, well, if you want to please everybody, you're not pleasing me. So what you're doing isn't working. And if she ultimately doesn't move in the direction of trying to make the relationship work, then you have to move on, because there's seemingly not anything else you could do about it, because she's basically made her decision, and it's on you to not enable her bad behavior in a similar fashion to the way she's enabling her friend group's bad behavior.
Yeah. And I think, this is another example of something where I think somebody has a somewhat misguided or distorted view of goodwill, what we call goodwill. Because, the girlfriend, she's obviously, trying to see it as, well, I'm helping out my friends and I want to always be there for them and I want everyone to be happy. But of course, she's, among other things, she's kind of helping these people to avoid reality to avoid basic cause and effect, right? That like, if you if
Yeah, you
are-
don't need to get a car or a better job or anything. I'll just
exactly, yeah, and so like a magical pixie fairy will bring you snacks when you don't feel like leaving the house, and this
That
sort of
was
thing.
wild, man. Like,
Yeah,
hold on, we're in the middle of being intimate. Well, can I just run over there? They can't be bothered. It's probably bothersome for them to go get their own snacks.
that's so telling though, because it's like what an outright insult to your partner,
Yeah.
and you're trying to make everyone happy, right? It's like, but so this
I just want to make this point. That's one of those situations, like usually, like, people should ask things if they want to do something. But this is one of those cases where even asking something is like over the line. Can we put this on pause so I can do this incredibly trivial, superficial thing for a bunch of lazy people instead?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's like she's in some kind of contract with these other women. I don't know. Obviously, we don't have a whole ton of background on the girlfriend's situation, but I suspect it's like she's allowing them to circumvent aspects of reality that they wish to avoid, and they're kind of doing the same. I mean, they're probably sort of allowing her to have a relationship without having to address her own, I don't know, let's say her own needs, her own, she doesn't have to take up this kind of space in the relationship where she can be seen in a way she's uncomfortable with, or something like this, right? It's like often these things are kind of mutual contracts where we sort of help each other avoid aspects of reality we're not comfortable with.
Tendency.
And that's where, it's like that thing. I think I was kind of talking about this on a previous episode, right? That like, yeah, these false ideas of goodwill or helping, doing the good can be a way of fostering an illusion, right? So
Yeah, is it actual helping, or is it just making you feel like you're helping, and thus ultimately a kind of selfishness?
Well, and it's affirming a certain view of reality, right? Because it's like you're not saying I'm not living in reality. You're saying this is the right thing to do, right? This is the helpful thing to do. And so by implication, you're creating this reality out of that. That's false. And so, yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't want to talk too long, but like, yeah, she's allowing other people to not live in reality, and her close relationship is suffering, and she's seemingly not tending to that in a way you would expect, right? From somebody who wants to please everyone.
Yeah.
But I think it's really difficult to change other people. I mean, if this people pleaser wants to change, then there's a good possibility she can do it after practicing for a while. But her girlfriend cannot make her change if she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
What they could do instead is maybe not be completely black and white, and instead sort of find some compromises. They could, for example, that's just an example, I don't know how it works for them, but find certain situations where they say, every time we have dinner together, we'll turn off our cell phones and just be together, the two of us. Or we'll have 1 or 2 evenings every week where we'll turn off our cell phones and just be the two of us. Certain times, certain situations, or something that they can both accept. And then after a while, maybe this people pleaser can see that this is much better in many ways, and she feels better about it. But she won't change just because you attack her. Yep. I don't think so. But then she'll be defensive, like she says she is also.
Well, she might not change even if you approach her with how you feel about it. It remains to be seen.
But I think you bring up a really good point, Annie, because that's one way of like we say, perpetuating goodwill in a world where that's not so simple. It's like sometimes it is a question of like a gradual weaning or a step-by-step thing. It's not just like, oh, well, what you're doing is distorted or isn't a perfect manifestation of the good, so gonna have to cut this up. I mean, there are, and obviously it depends how the other person is going to actually respond to it. But yeah, like you're saying, there are these little steps you can take where, okay, we're both imperfect. We're both sort of in these relationship contracts that aren't totally straightforward, or we're sort of not avoiding reality to some extent that perhaps shouldn't be. But we can kind of wean ourselves off that, or we can progressively move in at least a better direction by trying this and that.
Tactically, kind of going back to Annie's first point about talking about our feelings, it's helpful to use statements such as, this is how it feels to me, rather than you are doing this. Instead of asserting that that they're doing this, that becomes more accusatory and they're less likely to listen. But if you make statements, hey, it feels like this when we're together and when our friends call up, that's a much better approach, and you're less likely to see defensive-ness from your partner if you take that line of communication.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting a little bit towards the end of our time. But are there any sort of final insights people want to put out there for everyone, or?
Just, I would say to her, good luck, give it a shot. And if she's not willing to move on, then you should move on for yourself and value yourself more than, having to put up with this.
Indeed. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you do like this kind of content, please feel free to like and subscribe, even leave a comment below. And we'll see you guys in a couple days.